This is a picture of Los Angeles in 1877, and this is a picture of Los Angeles in 1908. In the space of just 3 decades, it went from being a small backwater to a bustling city of nearly 300,000. A booming economy, new long-distance rail links, and an oil rush ushered in a wave of immigration that saw the city's population quadruple in 30 years. And it didn't stop there. By 1930, the city had added almost 1 million people to its population. But none of this would have been possible without one key element: water. But with its hot Mediterranean-style climate, that's not something the City of Angels had very much of. How it solved that problem is a murky story of power, deceit and corruption that inspired a Hollywood classic. But if you thought that was the end of the story, think again. As historical sources become increasingly unreliable, city authorities are embracing a radical plan to stop LA from running dry. At the turn of the 20th century, LA was a city on the up. In 1876, the Transcontinental Railway connected it to the East Coast, and in 1892, Edward L. Doney struck oil in the city, ushering in a wave of prospectors looking to jump on the bandwagon. As the population soared, it looked like nothing could stop this new fledgling city. But one person knew that unless something was done quickly, this place was heading towards a devastating drought. Water engineer and former mayor of LA, Frederick Eaton. Eaton had a plan for a huge aqueduct that would draw water from the Owens River 400 kilometers away into the city and store it here in an underground aquifer in the San Fernando Valley. It would give LA more than enough water for it to become the powerhouse city he dreamed of, but there was a catch. The city of Los Angeles didn't own any of the land or water rights they needed to make the plan work, and the budding farming community up in the Owens Valley wasn't about to give that up without a fight. What came next was a plan so devious it would go down in history as the California Water Wars. Around 1900, the Bureau of Land Reclamation was developing an irrigation system to help farmers in the Owens Valley. But Eaton had hired a spy inside the Bureau who gave him access to its plans. Using that information, Eaton stayed one step ahead of the Bureau and bought up land in the Owens Valley under the guise of wanting to start his own farm. But in reality, he was secretly handing over the water rights for his land to the city of Los Angeles. Now, when it comes to duplicitous dealings, it's clear that knowledge is power. If you're keen to keep information flowing, then you might be interested in today's video sponsor, Brilliant. With thousands of lessons ranging from integral calculus to a case study on the probability of going viral on X, there's something for anyone with a thirst for knowledge. The key to Brilliant is that you can learn by doing. No more watching hours of dry lectures, you'll be swimming in opportunities to put your know-how to the test with hands-on lessons. Already a whiz at all things HTML? Then try your hand at Python. Never coded before? Well, Brilliant's foundational computer science courses will help you get started from scratch. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, scan the QR code on screen now, visit brilliant.org/the B1M, or click the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Now, let's get back to the Californian desert. By 1905, Eaton had captured enough of the water supply in the Owens Valley for his plan to work, and he publicly announced his intention to build an aqueduct, but he was far from finished. Eaton wanted to use this, the San Fernando Valley, as an aquifer to store the water coming from the aqueduct. But to do this, the valley would need to become part of LA, which would require a referendum. Eaton tipped off members of the city's elite, such as Harrison Gray Otis, the publisher of the LA Times, and told them all about the prime real estate that would be created by directing the aquifer into the valley. Otis then went and bought up land on the cheap and began championing the referendum in the press, warning of droughts and water shortages should it fail to pass. It's even alleged that Eaton dumped water from the city's reservoirs into the ocean to simulate a drought. The ploy worked, and Los Angeles annexed the San Fernando Valley. Then, in 1913, over 30,000 people turned up to watch the first water flow from the Los Angeles aqueduct down into the San Fernando Valley. Los Angeles was on course to become the massive metropolis it is today, and the budding farming community in the Owens Valley dried up for good. It was a masterclass of deception and crooked politics that served as the inspiration for the 1974 film Chinatown.
Get it, Jake, it's Chinatown.
Now, while that might all sound like ancient history, water continues to shape the city to this day. LA's water supply has since diversified, but the vast majority of the city's infrastructure relies on the same principle. Water gets pumped from outside the city, while any that falls in the city is flushed out as soon as possible. But that strategy is under threat. You see, the Owens River and other tributaries of the LA water system rely heavily on melting snow from the eastern Sierra Mountains, and that resource is becoming increasingly scarce. For the LA aqueduct, this is part of a long-term trend. While it still makes up a significant portion of LA's water, the volume it provides has been in decline for the last 30 years. But while the amount of snow falling in the mountains is decreasing, the amount of rain falling in the city is increasing.
There will be showers around all weekend long here in Southern California.
This should be the worst of both worlds for Los Angeles, but a new strategy is helping turn a problem into a solution. It's becoming a sponge city. Now, the concept of sponge cities dates back to China's urbanization boom in the 2000s, when new megacities had to resort to novel ways to manage stormwater and flooding. The concept is fairly simple. Integrate as much nature into the city as possible to collect rainwater and store it underground, then gently soak it into the city's aquifer and provide drinking water. Back in 2015, the Los Angeles mayor released a sustainable city plan, which aims to clean up existing aquifers and increase the amount of locally sourced water the city uses by 50%. And that's sparked projects across the city, both big and small. In the same year, LA Sanitation and Environment unveiled its first Green Alley project, which replaced this concrete storm runoff with a permeable paving system which filters rainwater and transfers it into the city's aquifer. It might seem small, but this one intervention is capable of storing 750,000 gallons of stormwater in a typical rainy season. Similar developments have sprung up across the city next to roads and pavements, but large-scale interventions are taking place as well. In 2022, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the Los Angeles County Flood Control District completed a project to refurbish the Tujunga spreading grounds in the north of the city. The $50 million project doubled the capacity of the 150-acre site, allowing it to collect 4 billion gallons of water in an average year. But perhaps the most emblematic change is the ambitious plan to redevelop LA River back into, well, a river. Between 1938 and 1960, the 51 miles of river was channelized and effectively turned into a huge storm drain. In 2016, a plan was approved which would rewild an 11-mile stretch of river from Griffith Park to downtown Los Angeles, reintroducing marshland and creating new habitats for wildlife. The Los Angeles River Ecosystem Restoration Project is expected to complete in 2028 and will be a major boon to the city's sponge infrastructure. But is any of this actually working? Well, last February, LA witnessed over half a year's worth of rainfall in just 3 days. The improved sponge infrastructure, along with existing reservoirs, meant the city was able to capture 8.6 billion gallons of stormwater. That's enough for over 100,000 households' yearly supply of water. Of course, all this is just a start. With California's climate continuing to change, it's clear that LA is going to need to rely more heavily on captured rainwater in the future. And that the story of how this city has been shaped by water is going to continue for some time yet. This video was sponsored by Brilliant. You can learn more about that at the link below. Don't forget that we're inspiring the next generation of builders and water engineers through our investment into Brickborrow, a fantastic LEGO subscription service. You can learn more and get started today over at brickborrow.com. And as always guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you're subscribed to the B1M.